30 years after the original A4 reshaped Audi's mid-size lineup, the familiar nameplate has, well, disappeared, and in its place stands the 2025 Audi A5, the new Audi flagship of its non-SUV combustion-powered range. Audi's even numbers now represent fully electric cars, whilst their odd numbers, like the A5, cover petrol, hybrid and diesel power. And just on that note, I know it's been a while since I've had an Audi on the channel, but is it just me that didn't know that? That fact has blown my mind. I feel like I've been living underneath a rock. The Avant has always been the stylish but practical choice in Audi's lineup, and this generation is designed to prove that wagons still matter in a world which is dominated by SUVs. And for me, this is actually the first diesel that I've reviewed in a long while. Diesel engines are becoming rare in UK showrooms, which makes today's test feel like catching up with an old friend. Hi guys, my name's Tish and welcome back to Auto Social UK. In today's video, I'll tell you everything you need to know about the new Audi A5 in its Avant and diesel combination. So if that sounds good, then please keep watching. And if you like new car reviews and car content, well, you're in the right place. Make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. In the UK, the A5 Avant comes in Sport, S-Line and this range-topping launch edition, with prices stretching from £40,000 to the high £50,000. Engine choices include two petrols, there's a plug-in hybrid and there's also this diesel. The launch edition spec adds matrix LED headlights. You also get selectable light signatures, 20-inch Audi Sport alloys with red brake calipers, although mine are silver, and a black styling pack, privacy glass, and full interior tech package, which includes a passenger display. In short, this is the most fully loaded A5 Avant that you can buy right now. But before we get moving, I want to put you guys onto something which could save you thousands. Have I got your attention? Today's video is proudly sponsored by ALA Insurance. If your car's written off or stolen, your motor insurer only pays its current market value, not what you paid and not what you still owe on finance. On a new car like this Avant, that could leave you with a huge bill for a vehicle that you no longer have. That's why GAP, Guaranteed Asset Protection Insurance, exists. Now, it covers the difference between the insurer's payout and either your original invoice price or, often crucially, your finance balance. Sometimes that difference can be substantial, and especially when insurance companies are undervaluing cars. The Independent recently revealed that underpayments averaged between £600 and £1,300, with premium models worst affected. Having gap insurance has your back in this instance. ALA is de facto 5-star rated, has 99.9% of claims paid out and over 20,000 Trustpilot reviews of 4.9 stars. If your car's on finance, GAP isn't a luxury, it's an essential. Use my link down below for an exclusive discount and peace of mind. Right, let's see how this diesel Avant performs on the road, because on paper, that 204 PS TDI should combine torque, efficiency and refinement in a way that few rivals can match. Underneath the bonnet of this particular model is Audi's 2-litre TDI engine, producing 204 PS and 400 Nm of torque, which arrives in the low rev range for easy overtaking and confident towing. Paired with the 7-speed S-tronic gearbox, it's smooth and refined once on the move. And Audi's 48-volt mild hybrid system allows for coasting with the engine off and recovers energy under braking, boosting efficiency. The diesel Avant hits the 62 in 7.7 seconds and it cruises effortlessly at motorway speeds, where it can return high 40s, low 50s in a mile per gallon, meaning between 500 and 600 miles between fill-ups, but actually mine is showing 640 miles. Now, on these 20-inch launch edition wheels, the ride is generally composed, but it does pick up sharper bumps and potholes more than I'd like for a family car. If you switch it to comfort mode, then it does improve, but I suspect that the smaller wheel options would give you a more supple ride. Worth considering if you do a lot of rough road miles. Refinement at motorway speeds is excellent, wind and road noise is minimal, and the diesel hum actually fades into the background. The progressive steering is light around town, but it really does gain some reassurance and weight on country roads. Compare it to the BMW M3 Touring, the A5 feels less playful but more stable and predictable, a confident long-distance companion. What I will say is I think that the A5 Avant is a grower, not a shower in its latest generation. So it now sits on Audi's new premium platform, and that does actually mean it's lower, wider, and it has a more athletic stance than it did previously. But it's taken me a while to get used to the face. They're doing that thing that the Volkswagen Group do not so well, and that's blending together their electric vehicles with their combustion ones. I get it, they want to make sure there's a connection between the different models, but I think it's left this car looking, well, just a tiny bit bland for what is a pretty cool estate. I just wish it had some sharper styling or some more gloss details, and I have the one that has the gloss black details, so you've got additional gloss parts and you've also got the blacked out windows with this launch edition car. Also gets 20-inch alloy wheels. Now, I do like these, they suit the vehicle. Again, I am a bit of a chav when it comes to cars like this, and I would have liked some black alloy wheels, but actually I think the two-tone design looks nice. I would like to just say that I've just been doing the details of this car for filming, and I've realised that it doesn't have rear tinted windows and it doesn't have 20-inch alloy wheels. It's actually got 19s. So I'm starting to think that this isn't the launch edition car. So I'm really sorry for the confusion there. But when I was sent the spec sheet, it does say that it's a launch edition. So I may have to have a little look online and see if I can find the proper specs of this car. But yes, this is not an example of a launch edition, which I'm sure most of you have gathered by now. And I do think this has a very executive feel about it, because let's face it, those are the people that are going to be buying this car, so I think they've nailed the brief. You also get Audi's new LED lighting signature, and these have those fancy designs that you can actually customise, so I'm going to be playing around with those, and actually if I work out how to do it, then I'll put some of those on the screen right now. I don't think it's an offensive design, I just don't think it's their best looking car to date. Moving on to the interior, and it's a bit of a mixed bag in here for me. Mostly I really like it, and firstly I want to give a shout out to the little detail on the exterior of this car. So the door handles I really like. They're not pop-out door handles, but they don't sit completely flush. You simply pop your hand inside and there's a little button in there, and that does give it a premium touch. But I also love the fact that you have A5 Avant written on this pillar. So as you open and close the door, it just matches up the writing, which I think is simple but is a nice little design detail. Inside of this car, it is of course absolutely dominated by screens. So this is the media centre from Audi, and we have got a 14.5-inch MMI touchscreen, and we've also got an 11.9-inch digital instrument cluster. But on top of that, we also have a 10.9 touchscreen for the passenger. So this is part of the tech pack, or you get it on the launch edition. I think I'm starting to think that the model that I'm in is the S-Line, because I've got S-Line seats which are finished in this nice leather, and then I have the tech pack. That's going to be my guess, but with this being a press car, it might be a bit of a mix between a few different trim levels. So definitely spec up your own online, because I don't know what I'm talking about half of the time. Inside of here, things that I don't like has got to be the gloss black. Many manufacturers have moved away from gloss black. They've learned from their mistakes, but there's still lots of it in here. And it's all in the touch sensitive areas as well. So in this center console, you've got a fully gloss black center console, and it really does show up a lot of those fingerprints. Also on the steering wheel, I will say I love this steering wheel. One of my favourites, I think, in a while. It's kind of like slim, very skeletal, but then you've got really nice details on it, and it's kind of like darkened as well, so it feels a bit sporty. You've got the S badge as well, but the one thing I don't like is you've got touch sensitive buttons. These illuminate as you turn on the car, you may have noticed. So I do like this steering wheel, but it's not perfect. I would have still liked to have physical buttons on the steering wheel, but then it would have had to have been a little bit bigger, and then it wouldn't be quite as nice and slim. So I understand the trade-off. Two cup holders up front here. I love the fact that you've got a physical volume control, although it is on the passenger side because it's been flipped from a left-hand drive. Overall, it does feel very modern, very sleek, very stylish, and I think very on brand for both Audi and their target audience. It feels perfect for an executive car inside of here. Got leather all atop the dashboard with some contrast stitching, but then very, very subtle seats and a black headlining, so it does feel very dark and moody. So good and bad points inside of here, but I will say overwhelmingly the good outweighs the bad. But let's play around with these touchscreens for a while and see what we think. Well, the first thing to note is this thing is absolutely massive, but look how clear that map is. That really does bring me a lot of satisfaction. But as we move around the screen, you see some very simple laid out controls. Hello, also me in the background filming. But you have simple functions like your car function to be able to change all of the ambient lighting. Ambient lighting is very nice actually in this car as well. And if we go to exterior lighting, like I said, you can play around with the different lighting controls, which how cool is that? So you can change your little greeting on your car, which is very, very fancy, although every single one of those looks about the same, don't they? So let's go back to the main menu. You have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, of course, those are going to be wireless. We've also got the driver assist systems that you can control, you can turn on, turn off. And if we go home again, you can customize your home screen to put your main widgets that you use a lot on this screen. Now, what I will say is all climate control dials are all down here. So if we hit the menu to bring that up, this is all the climate control. There is a lot of functions inside of here, so you can play around with the different climate controls. Your bases will always stay at the bottom. Now that's quite good. And you simply have to tap it to turn the temperature up and down. And your main functions like your heated seats can all be found down here all of the time. So it's not too fiddly, but of course I would always choose physical climate control dials. Moving on to the digital instrument cluster, it's very crisp, very clear, and looks very executive. You can change the view by pressing the view button, although there doesn't seem to be anything particularly fancy that you can change with that. And you also have a head-up display on this car as well, which you can control using this button here, which I think is really nice. Sometimes these can be a little bit fiddly, so it's good to have it here on the steering wheel. You also have a heated steering wheel here, which can be found on the wheel. And then we have our third screen right here, which you can wake up by simply pressing it. And then you can see you do have the same kind of layout as the central screen. So you have a few widgets which you can change and you can move yourself around. Satellite navigation. Now, I really quite like this because I think sometimes when you're driving, it's great to be able to have your passenger controlling your satellite navigation. So that's quite nice. You can also control some apps via Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And once again, you can see the main settings there that you can control as the passenger. Yes, it might just be a little bit gimmicky, but I actually think that this is a very nice function in what is a family or an executive car. And lastly, it's not a screen, but it's another set of controls with buttons here, or should I say touch sensitive buttons. Now the good news is you can't just swipe past these, thank God. You do actually have to press them to use them, but again they're finished in that gloss black, so they're going to get a little bit sticky with fingerprints, so if you are very particular you may find this car a little bit frustrating. These actually work very nicely, and I'm glad that they are physical buttons and they're nicely laid out. It's just a shame that they are finished in that gloss black and almost that touch sensitive effect. Now, diesel may no longer be fashionable, but for long distance drivers, it's still often the most efficient option. Expect high 40s in mixed driving or low 50s on steady motorway runs. The mild hybrid option has also trimmed the CO2 emissions compared with older diesels, and Audi's strong residual values mean that the Avant is a safe bet for depreciation. Servicing costs are comparable with other premium estates, and given how expensive cars are like this to replace, pairing it with gap insurance is simply common sense. In the back of the A5 Avant, it offers excellent accommodation for an estate. 2 adults will find plenty of legroom, and the headroom is also super generous, even with the slightly sloping roofline. The seats are shaped well with supportive cushions and decent bolstering for longer trips. The wide opening rear doors make fitting child seats or loading bulky items much easier. Audi has fitted rear climate vents with USB-C ports and useful storage spaces, so passengers passengers in the back don't feel like they're second class on longer journeys. The middle seat remains fine for occasional use, but here is, of course, the trade-off when you go for a combustion car. You still have a really quite high transmission tunnel. So if I am to slide across, I'll have to decide to put my feet either side. But of course, if you had smaller people who have tiny little legs, then they'll be able to put their legs up on this tunnel, so it won't be as much of an issue. In the centre here, I have got an armrest with 2 cup holders, nothing overly fancy, and I'm pretty sure I will have some through loading, although, yeah, there you go. So I also have through loading, so you can carry longer items like skis. I've also got 2 isofix fitments in the back here, so it's pretty good. And also I like the fact I can tuck my feet underneath the seats in front. So it isn't the best because you have this centre console, which does make putting someone in the third seat a little bit tricky, but overall I think it's extremely accommodating. Move to the boot, and this is where I think the Avant is still practical, but Audi may have given up a little bit of space for style. At 476 litres, the boot is slightly smaller than key rivals like the BMW 3 Series Touring and the Mercedes C-Class Estate, and the sloping tailgate limits how much tall cargo you can fit. If you fold the rear seats flat though, you unlock over 1,400 litres of space, which, let's face it, is more than enough for most needs. The floor is wide and flat, and Audi includes useful hooks and tie-down points. The electric tailgate is standard, and if you go for some models, you get a bit of a party trick, which means you can actually open the rear window, which is really handy for people who have dogs. The rails also come as standard, and some of them are finished in black, making it easy to add extra carrying capabilities with a roof box or a bike rack. Whilst when it comes to pure practicality, the Skoda definitely outshines the Audi, it does have its own premium little touches. So something that I really like is when you shut the boot of the Audi Avant, the rear parcel shelf will actually electronically extend to the back of the car, which I think is just quite a nice touch. Let's face it, the 2025 Audi A5 Avant isn't here to reinvent the estate. It's here to perfect it. It blends elegant styling, advanced tech, diesel efficiency and genuine practicality in a way that few rivals offer. I do wish that Audi had evoked a bit more boot space and revisited some of the gloss black plastics inside, and I'd seriously consider smaller wheels if you want a softer ride which is family friendly. But for big motorway miles, towing and enjoying a premium wagon that's beautifully built and distinct from the SUV crowd, this diesel Avant nails the brief. And with the plug-in hybrid options for urban commutes, Audi has ensured that the A5 Avant remains relevant in 2025 and beyond. Would you still pick a diesel today, or has hybrid or electric become your go-to? Let me know in the comments down below. I really hope you have enjoyed this video today, guys. If you have, please go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. And if you want to see more like it, then you know what to do. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And once again, I'd like to give a big thank you to ALA for sponsoring today's video and making more videos like this possible. Until next time, guys, see you later.